Thank you very much to the three speakers. Any questions from the auditorium at this point? If not, I have, or we have prepared a few. Yeah.
I was just wondering why, to me it seems that it's very good that we're self-regulating and it's each party in the supply chain actually that's self-regulating along the way. What about the eco-label? Because doesn't the eco-label address all of these issues? And if so, why isn't that being used to help with self-regulation? I know it might be one part, but actually it covers CO2, fibre sourcing, which is about to be increased, right through to the printer, actually.
Answer.
Okay.
Good question. It's raised by the European Commission, as you know, and the European Commission has a very long catalogue to go through, and it's again an opinion. They want to give credit to companies who belong to the highest, to the best of the industry. There are elements where you can disagree, however. At the moment, the current criteria says, for example, you can get the eco-label if you have 10% certified fiber in it. So they are going to increase it, that's correct. However, I mean, if you look into the database, you find an Indonesian producer in it. And I know the Commission doesn't like it, but you can get it even if you are an Indonesian producer. It would, yes.
Yeah, still about the eco-labels, what for us is very important consideration is that we are promoting use of recycled fibers, and since many eco-labels, they don't come up with the special labels for recycled papers. They don't specify the amount of recycled fiber in that particular paper.
Maybe I can add some more sentences from our point of view. What we try to do is to bring up three different systems here in the auditorium that are specified for the publishing industry. And I think we are still having a situation where we have different labels for different uses and we have different papers. And what I think is interesting here is that all the three systems cover a huge area of different papers and give information about that. So maybe that was just the first start to say, okay, we put up three here. There are quite a lot of different ones as well. But maybe I have another question to our three speakers that might be a little bit close with that. How do you control the accuracy of the data? I think that is quite important for everybody who is looking for different systems and trying to figure out which one he or she would like to use. So I think the accuracy of data is always one of the important questions. Maybe we just go through Neil?
Hello. In terms of preps, we deal directly with the paper mills themselves, and we ask them to supply the information. Now, preps began because it was all about forest sources. It was all about assuring what was actually being harvested and going into the paper supply chain. So when we set this up, we said, okay, we're only going to deal directly with mills, so we're going to bypass printers and merchants. So we're going to have them sign a declaration when they provide that information. We would also take a risk-based approach. So if a forest source is what we call medium or high risk, then we require third-party certification for that source. We have an internal checking system, and every year we have an annual review of the PREPS process, which is a third party that comes in to make sure that we are following the process document that we've set ourselves. We've also added a new element to our risk tool, which is now looking at what we call mill location risk. And we are going to start, as of the end of this year, to implement a new measure to look at how we can get an extra level of assurance there.
Yeah, the papers that are listed on our tool, they are third-party audited by accredited auditors, so that's the way the paper buyer can have a lot of confidence in our ratings.
Well, Well, same for the paper profile. The paper profile is advised to be third-party verified. Anybody can make a mistake by gathering all the data, and I can tell you is quite an effort, and that helps, and that is the proof that the information you are receiving is correct.
Thank you. One other question. For me, it was quite interesting to learn that paper profile started in 1990, and perhaps I think 7 or 8 years ago, Egmont grading system. So 5 years ago, and now we have the WWF Foundation. What were your main ideas starting your system? What are your goals today? Why are you doing what you do? Maybe Jens first?
There are very many questions around, and I think this is what also this event today is about, because you as users of paper, you should make a very conscious decision, and you should make a very informed decision about what you are using to produce your products. It is a response of the industry to very many questions, and this shall deliver transparency and provide you with information that you need to make an informed decision. It might not be the ultimate solution, and is not going to be solving all of your problems. You should be very aware what you choose and what you do, because it's part of your product and it is part of the story what you sell.
The first question was, I think, why did PREPS come about 5 years ago? It came about because our members were... The paper supply chain is very complicated. I think, as Sam alluded to, papers have several pulps have several forest sources. Our members were actually struggling to find out what papers were in their supply chain from their printers. The printers were giving them a brand name which actually probably didn't match the brand name back to the mill. So there was just a lack of knowledge. And so that's why it all came about. It came about so that we could go collectively, bypass merchants or printers and go directly to the mills and ask them questions. Now, there were initiatives going on. EPAT was one in the US, and then there's paper profiles in Europe. But at the time, our members wanted to look at mills all around the world, and there weren't enough of the mills they were wanting to look at were registering with these schemes. So that's why we came about. And also, the members wanted information in a certain way, and so the whole system has been designed, is led, and is structured about their needs. And the way the online system works, it fits in with production people and their understanding of how they can make decisions quickly for the publications they want to use.
For us, the reason we started this process was, as like I mentioned in my presentation, the environmental groups have been so much focused on just on the responsible fiber, but we wanted to go beyond that and also look at the other key environmental impacts of paper. So we wanted to come up with our own paper purchase tool. And we definitely wanted to give some support for the paper buyer, that they could have the credible tool where they could look at the information on environmentally sound papers.